because a person can be convicted of committing a crime. For example, a person cannot be tried for larceny until it has been proven that property has been stolen. Likewise, in order for a person to be tried for arson, it must be proven that a criminal act resulted in the burning of a property. Once again, injured party or damaged property. So Black's Law Dictionary defines corpus delicti, the fact of a crime having been actually committed. When there is no violation of established right, there can be no wrong. Once again, the fact of a crime has having been actually committed. You cannot have a trial without an injured party. Once again, under common law, you cannot have a trial without an injured party. Once again, how do you invoke your common rights or the common law? In this, you can't go in there under general appearance. You have to go up under there with a notice of special appearance. You have to put in a special appearance prior to going to court. And you state on the special appearance that you are there under threat, duress, and coercion. And as a matter of fact, you can also state that you do not consent to these proceedings. Unless they can show you the bond or the so-called, well, contract, let me say that. Unless they can show you the contract in which that they claim, you know, in which that ties you to that. Where's the contract? But here, it says you cannot, as a matter of due process, even be called or summoned into a court of tribunal without having an injured party. The injured party is the accuser, and he or she must squarely and surely identify you as the accuser. The accused, you, has either committed an injury to the body, which is corpus delicti, or injured property, or have a breach of contract. If so, then the accuser, injured party, must be present, and the contract must also be placed as evidence for review. The accuser, the injured party, must put the judicial machinery into action by first writing a sworn affidavit that states the injury that was committed. Then the summons comes, and it must be signed by an Article 3 judge, which states that the matter has been duly investigated and probable cause for such summons and/or warrant is justified. The sworn affidavit must have, according to Article 4, these are all matters of due process of law, and if one of these elements are missing and or corrupted in any way, the entire matter must be dismissed. Y'all got to keep all this in mind. And this leads you to this. Your birth certificate. The value of the birth certificate is unlimited. Howbeit, it's good to put a value on it, such as about
aggregate, like what we did last night. We took our money, we recycled $1 with somebody that looked like us as a group. If you look at how they took over Palestine, they did it as a group. They did it here. This Springfield area was controlled by Jews. This was the first Hollywood before they went out to California. Most people, like when they was in New York, the Jews in New York, they have a spot in Miami. I don't know where it is in Miami, but I know it's a bunch of them in Miami. But they basically left this area and left and went down to Miami. This whole area was all Jews. These are just some of the laws that was placed on us to literally keep you down. So when they talk about, oh, the white man keep me down, literally. Okay, you can just Google laws against African Americans and these things come up. Okay, and a lot of them are psychological. You know, we're familiar with the black codes, the Negro codes, the slave codes, that whole thing. But these are individuals from different states: North Carolina, Connecticut, Virginia, Maryland, and Virginia is real special because it sends out still to this day a lot of laws that are advantageous or against Moors.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Is the unemployment rate. Right, 2000, we're at about what? A little over 12? Now if you notice here, it was more brothers working in this time than the European. He's unemployment rate now in 2012, 14%, 14.4%. Out of 27 million businesses, we own 7%. The U.S. government is the biggest employers of Moors.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So what's that about? The 10% of the U.S. civilian labor force, African Americans are 18% of the U.S. government workers. They are 25% of employees at Treasury and Veterans Affairs, 31% of the State Department, 37% of the Department of Education employees, 38% of Housing and Urban Development. They are 42% of the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission and the Pension Statement Benefit Guarantee Corp, 55% of the employees of the Government Printing Office, and 82% of the Court Services and Offender Supervision Agency. Do you understand? Think about it now. They are the largest employers of us. Yeah, have y'all caught that on y'all? Still on the plantation. If you ain't caught on, still on it.
Just making wages.
From the cotton field plantation to the 14th Amendment Constitution plantation and now to the workforce. We haven't done anything, folks. We have not done anything to change our situations. Amendments is what they say freed us. And it was another amendment that re-freed us, recaptured us back into slavery. And it was lack of opportunities of controlling and owning that forced us back into the labor force. Now that we know this stuff, we have to be responsible for what we know. But that slave mentality is a hard mentality to break. Would you agree?
Yes.
If you've ever read the book, Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams, there's a chapter in there. It's called How Slavery Came to be Confined to Blacks. Speaking about in 1272 in Upper Egypt, the pattern of their own self-destruction. There's that word again, pattern. Of our own self-destruction. It was a story about how the Arabs was moving into Upper Egypt. This is the first, I do believe, the first documented what he was speaking about of the invasion. And there was a nephew who was the nephew of the brother who was on the throne, who was up next. But because he wanted that throne faster than what he was supposed to get, he allowed the invasion. By allowing the invasion, it catapulted destructions of other civilizations, all because of his own self-gratification. Okay? This is for the newcomers. I wanted the newcomers who didn't know it, a lot of stuff, and this is real brief, about how we are the most influential people on the planet ever. We were in America. We were the rulers of Ireland. We ruled Europe 700 years, and we are the first dynasty in China. Who didn't know that? Okay. So I was doing this, when I was putting this together, you know, I found that map, looking just like this blank map. I put the faces and the names on it. And it was funny, I was like, okay, so that's good, so how you tie it all in? You know, I get to that. We were Roman emperors. We was the unified Norway. We were the kings of Scotland. The queens and kings of the United States. Did y'all know that? The queens of England.
Yes.
Pick up J.A. Rogers. Okay, color knows no line. Pick up J.A. Rogers, Sex and Races, Volume 1 through 3. You'll see this. Who don't know what this is? This is Sankofa. Under it says, it is not wrong to go back for what you have forgotten. And a lot of us forgot our African, Kemetic, any of that. We forgot our culture. We forgot who we were. Because we were black people. I'm not going to get into preaching. These are all facts. Because you know y'all was calling yourself black. So listen, black people can't go past slavery because black people was made in America. Right? The United States, when they give you a history, they're only talking about slavery. They don't go back. They'll go back and show you the rulers of Hawaii that look like you. Before the European went in and decided to take them out and lock up the queen. I posted it on Facebook if y'all want to see it, just a picture of it. But this symbol ingrained in your mind, those who didn't know what it is, it's called Sekou. It is a reminder of us to always remember that which we have forgotten. But you got to know what you forgot. That's why I have this. You know how Europeans would feel if you showed them the picture of the brother that was ruling them before they was even there? You do know that in order to be a samurai, they say you have to have a drop of Moorish blood in you. And Hidden Colors too actually talked on how the first samurai was a brother.
Yes.
Those slant eyes come from us. They don't come from nobody else, y'all. Keep that in mind. Maor. If you pick up E.A. Wallace Bulge Hieroglyphic Dictionary. Okay? It's a lot, right? Wallace Bulge Hieroglyphic Dictionary. You'll find this verb. It's the title for the high priest of Anu. And I touched on this, but I got it. You can see the words now. Even when you look up the word more, this is usually the first word without the dash. It's like the beginning of Maurice. The high priest is also called Keraheb. The high priest of Anu is also called the hidden. Who else is called the hidden? Amen. Exactly. The high priest, so I said, well, look, let me see what else is going on. I ask myself the right questions. So, I mean, I like to think I ask the hard questions that most people wouldn't think. So, okay, the high priest of Anu, that's good. So how does that tie into being a Moor? So I said, what are the responsibilities of Moors? I'm saying, Maor, the high priest. They had to learn 42 tablets of Tahuti. Again, those tablets dealt with astrology, astronomy, geology, music, math, right? One man had to learn 3 books, one man had to learn 6 books. The priest that was over all of those guys was called the prophet. He had to know all of them. There were also public officials, judges, they were in the military, they were soldiers. They knew the law. Even when the pharaoh couldn't hold court, the priest held court. If you don't know some of these things, if you look at England, they've created the law, what's called chancery. Okay, this is when the judge is called a chancery. Instead of a judge, it's called a chancery. It's the same thing over in America. This is why I want y'all to start looking at equity. Because the England laws that merged, what they say merged, but it has no distinction of at law and equity. The judges are pretending or sitting as if they are the high priests from ancient Kemet. What you call equity based off of 20 maxims versus the at law stuff, 63 million statutes and codes. Yeah? Equity, somebody asked me, I got the definition. Equity is defined as the law of nature. And when the brother showed you the people of nature, you understand? It's all based off morals. He who seeks equity must do equity. So I was saying the term Maor, because it's hard to find being defined as black. I can't, even if I break that verb down, I just can't find black nowhere in there. Do you understand? More means black. How is that? If I look at M-A, that's ma. Like ma'a. Like water. Like the first. Or seer. Or if you're Chaldean, fire. The high seer was the high priest. They had responsibilities. And remember, the financing of ancient Kemet. Get into that stage to figure out, okay, there was pharaohs and we did this. How did they fund that community? How did they build those pyramids? How did they take that empire and spread it about? Look at that. They used that to also spread Ma'at. High priest's responsibilities was to go out and basically teach, talk about Ma'at principles. Very simple. I mean, the principles are. Stolen Legacies talks about the Moors were the keepers of the ancient. I'm sweating on it. I don't know if it's my face or not. Thank you, bro. The Moors were the keepers of the Egyptian secrets. Who familiar with this quote from Stolen Legacy? Who's not familiar with it? Okay, Stolen Legacy. Get that book. Now this is my title. This is my title. Now he said that the Moors, M-O-O-R is how we spelled it out, were the keepers of the mysteries of the ancient Egyptians. True? Yeah. So we would think that it was some people that was living separately from the ancient Egyptians, right? When most read it, who, right? Somebody help me out now. Who said they knew this quote? What did you think when you said the Moors are the keepers of the Egyptian secrets? Like, how did that define your head?
Two different groups of people. You had the Moors, and then you had the Egyptian society.
Okay, that's what I thought. You thought something different?
Well, I go by what the prophet said, that they're the present protectors of the Moroccan Empire. So we always, I didn't think anything separate, no.
Okay. So what I'm saying is, what I'm trying to attempt to show is, I don't think it was separate. I think that when they said the Moors, when you go back and look at that term, M-A-U-R, who was a high priest of a pharaoh, right? They had a title. The Moor, was the high priest of the pharaoh. Who else better to keep your secrets than the high priest? Do you understand what I'm saying? Does that make sense? If you can bust it up, please. I'm standing around here for about another 30 minutes. And I already touched on this. I'm gonna go ahead and move on. But I wanted, this is the term. You can get that book. The term was going back to the 25th dynasty. This is the thing I was talking about.
But I'm gonna try to bust it up.
All right, give me a second. You had your time. I bet you I tried to. Right here. This is what I wanted to show. This is a separate map. I didn't put this on there when I wanted to see where are the pyramids at around the world. You see here? North America, South America, Europe, Africa, Asia.
Japan.
This is the same thing. This is from the high priest going out and spreading the information of the empire. I'm not making this up, but go ahead and bust it up. I'd like to hear that.
Let me get into it. I heard that name Moor, really, you weren't, it's a noble name from the divine, because people never identify themselves as a color, like you had said initially. But that name meant that they were a descendant of the Creator. So they were like lights. So it had nothing to do with a separate class of people or someone that's holding secrets, but it generally described everyone that was there. And that they were like, we were like divine creations, more in the line of light of our spirit, more so than how we incarnate. And it just so happened that all the cats that were black, blue black, were those noble people from the Creator. And that's how it kind of got associated. But it was never meant to describe a color, but I guess it got caught in that web later on. But we were a divine reflection of the cosmic Creator. And that's where the name Moor comes from. I heard actual crazy experience.
You said the name comes from a cosmic Creator.
No,
okay.
It's a title.
Oh, like when I just showed the title?
Right.
Okay.
Add one more thing.
You adding on, you're not busting it up.
Actual crazy basically gave a very wise explanation of it. He described the M and the R as the sound of thinking. The and the Ra was the lion roars at the rising sun every morning. So you combine those two together, that and a roar, and that's how you come up with that roar. So it's honoring nature and that divine spirit. And so I'm kind of rolling with that right now. Nothing to do with color, it's your divinity. And so having all the divine cats they were you kind of like skin with that black robe on, blue black, deep. So that's what I'm going with right now.
You're reaching right now, okay.
That's where I'm at right
See you after class, I'm gonna bunch you up. One way, this is one of the main ways that the European captured all the wealth. They did it through religious conquest. Okay? Just go back to the Vatican, go back to the Pope, sending out documents sending out armies and militaries, and they call it a religious campaign to control the planet and its resources. Look up the Treaty of 1212 that the Pope had. In 1095, at the beginning of the Crusades, Pope Urban II issued an edict, the Papal Bull Terra Nullius, meaning empty land. It gave the kings and the princes of Europe to discover, in quotations, or claim land in non-Christian areas. And wasn't nobody Christian but you. Okay, so the rest of the planet was then taken. Unless you came from Ethiopia, if you know that science, that's where Christianity was originally from. This policy was extended to 1452 when the Pope Nicholas V issued the bull Romus Pontiff declaring war against all non-Christians throughout the world and authorizing the conquest of their nations and territories. These edicts treated non-Christians as uncivilized and subhuman, and therefore without rights to any land or nation. Christian leaders claimed a God-given right to take control of all lands and use this idea to justify war, colonization, and even slavery. The doctrine of discovery, which is also called or known as manifest destiny. Today, from 1865 to 2013, the so-called end of the physical slavery. 148 years and we have made no progress. What are the facts? 1860, 280, and you can get this from Dr. Carl Anderson, Powernomics, 280,000 Moorish folk own 1/2 of 1% of all the nation's wealth. In 2013, we have 40 million, 32 million Moors in this country. We own 1/2 of 1% of the nation's wealth. 1865, 90% of the Moors worked for Europeans.
Wow.
Actually, it's the same number. I just try to make everybody feel better. 2013 is the same number. We're still doing the same thing. 1865, we own and control no resources. 2013, we own and control no resources. 148 years, no progress. When a group begins to acquire resources and manage them for an economic benefit of the group, we have created an economy. It's all good if you got land. It's all good if you got that, you got that, and you got that. It's all good. But what can we do as a group? That's what this weekend is about. What can we do as a group, people? 1.5 million people in prison. It's a $3 billion. We want to sell some drawers, toothbrushes. We need something to think about. Another form of industry is the aquaponics that deal with manufacturing, distribution, the marketplace. As a group, folks. Oh, wait a minute. Chinatown. Group economics. The Jewish community. Group economics. Little Italy. Group economics. Am I wrong? Is there a Moorish town? Is there a Moorish village? Is there really a Moorish community? There's a difference between neighborhoods and communities. But it can be. I mean, you can call it what you want to, but if the group make a move to build, reinvest, undo, we can make that happen. Key major sources of economic progress, competitive markets. Competition promotes the efficient use of resources and provides a continuous stimulus for innovative improvements. Competitive markets, what is that? If I go to, where you from? Miami? If I go to Miami, I'll be able to sell a lot of gold teeth, right? I will be competing in a competitive market in Miami. If I get into the plankton, black beans and rice business, I will be in a competitive market. But it's more than just that. It's more than saying, where are the dominant people that eat black beans and rice and buy gold teeth? That's the other thing. Infrastructures. Our communities have the infrastructures. We have the highways. The hood is, the middle of the city has everything. It has everything. The only reason the European left because y'all was coming in and following them. They went out there, practice went out even further. Now they want to come. They got you out there, stuck in the deed. Now they're coming back in. They can afford to have that spot in the apartment downtown to go to work. Here's what I'm talking about, folks. This group here, who's left over, basically we are a collective. What does the collective do? The collective will manufacture goods, market those goods, and we also have a nonprofit. We also will deal with distribution, wholesale, retail, domestically and internationally. Sounds very grand, but it's very simple. If I took Abundance Child toothpaste and brought it to the group and say, let's do this. Let's compete with Tom's natural toothpaste. And then we only market it to the people that use Tom's toothpaste. And then to those people that use other things that's related to Tom's toothpaste. Because once you got the toothpaste, then you say, hey, well, here's a toothbrush. Right along inside that. You buy that, you get a free toothbrush. You put it in, you manufacture it, we market it, we put it out, everyone is an owner in it. That's just a product. That's us creating a product. Excuse me, I gotta get used to this thing here. A functioning community. We have to have group trust, dealing with group economics, and group accountability. Keep in mind we're talking about it as a group. The community can come out with community enforcement. Let's say we live in an area, let's say all of us decide to take over Springfield, one block, let's say we're living in it. And we say, well, there's an issue with something going on in our area. There has to be some type of enforcement on the ground. And what I'm introducing tonight is something called the Moorish National Guard, right? It's not the Mufti, it's separate. It's a private business. Anyone who wants to be a part of it, to get hired out to do private contracts, can be a part of it. But they still control our particular community. If there's an issue politically, there has to be a voice to come out to represent that community. The Urban League, there's no people called Urban. Southern Christian Leadership, there's no people called Southern Christian Leadership. Action Network, no. NAACP, no. What I'm proposing is another voice that represents the community. And this is business now. This is all business. Because if there's an anti-Semitic thing going on, remember what Michael Jackson said on his Black and White song, don't kite me. You can black and white me. The Jews got up in uproar. Somebody from the Jewish community said, no, it's not gonna happen. There's not gonna be the word kite on your song. And they forced Sony to have Michael Jackson edited. They have an economic base, okay? And they have a voice and they have enforcement. Is this making sense? Yeah. Y'all been kind of like, I gotta make sure these other groups for 50, 60 years led us down this road looking at civil rights. Eat on the bus, sit on the bus, sit at the counter with them. But then nobody ever said, hey man, what if we just stay right here and continue to do what we do as a people? They say don't cross the track with Jim Crow, but when you did cross the track, the money circulated 28 times in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street. Yeah. This is in the 20s. This isn't like, this is 20s. There were the doctors, there was the dentists, there was a bus line. This community existed and thrived. When you have a voice, you can create group politics. You can control and own your politician. Guess why? Because if you come as a group that's actually functioning, creating commerce, have an independent economy, they want your vote. Listen, man, this is what I need you to do. We're getting ready to open up a school 2 blocks down. We need some, what does it take without all the red tape or whatever for an example. People are paying attention to you. Nobody pays attention to a group that does not have an economic base. They don't. They just don't. Think about it. Remember in 1991 when the Haitians was trying to get into America? It's not gonna happen. They stayed afloat. Africans from Liberia stayed out on the coast of America. They couldn't come in. But Irish, they can walk right on in through Ellis Island. They have an issue. And this is why what they're saying with the numbers, what their so-called numbers, when the Hispanic community has went past our community in numbers, and then there's another 14 million just immigrants in America. So you're now at almost the fourth class. Used to just be what they call black and white. Now it's European, Hispanic, Moors, immigrants. Claude Anderson talked about a permanent underclass. That's what's going on, unless it's lying about the numbers. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Aggregated, man, aggregated. I want to tell you about Florida. When you talk about distribution of wealth across the state, Florida has 5%, 5.7% of the wealth in the country, based on the rest of these countries, rest of these states. Texas has 7, New York has 7, California has 14. Tell you Florida's a good state to do what we can do. I'm trying to sell Florida to you. When I mention no one responds to people because you don't have an economic base, it's true. The politicians, the police, the celebrities, the media, no one responds to you. You give me an example, I'll be glad to listen. At any time, none. Here's the plan. In that binder, we had papers and you had instructions. I hope y'all read up on what an LLP is. That trust